Hello chaps, here we are in Berlin, in Alexanderplatz, and going for a little bit of an evening walk. Lovely evening here in Berlin. Been really sunny and nice and pleasant this afternoon. Pretty busy, good vibe in the city. We've been all over the place. I was working with a guy, doing some coaching this afternoon. Had a really good session. And I'm feeling kind of reflective, so I thought I would come on here and do a bit of a video. And I wanted to do a bit of an existential one today and talk about the topic of whether we lose the capacity to love as we get older. Okay, so continuing this theme of slightly gloomy videos talking about dating and the dating process and how it changes as we get a bit older, as we get a bit more mature. Do we lose the capacity to fall in love as we get older? And I don't have a definitive answer to this, so I'm not going to give you a sort of a yes or no answer to this. But I think that it's possible that we do lose the same sense of wonder that we used to have about love and relationships, and I think I have, and I think it happens for a couple of reasons. I think it happens because after a while our heart, or however you want to characterize it, but let's just use the old-fashioned romantic language, our heart becomes so calloused and so hardened after various experiences with different people that it kind of gets worn out in a funny sort of a way, and it just can't take any more punishment, or it doesn't have the inclination to take any more punishment, and so we sort of give up now. And I don't mean give up in the sense of like, oh, go and shut yourself in a room and never date anybody again or whatever. I mean, I think you continue to, you might continue to date, you might continue to have relationships, you might continue to, to have a good time and enjoy socializing and meeting people. But is it with that same fervor that you had when you were 20, when you were 18? And when you met, I don't know, your first girlfriend, your second girlfriend, whatever, and you felt that huge joy and that ecstatic sense of being that you get of falling in love, or, and I appreciate people are going to think that that's a sentimental way of putting it. Well, whatever language you want to use, but that kind of ecstatic sense that you get of enmeshing yourself with another human being. Is it the same when you get older and you've been around the block a few times? I don't know if it is, man. I really don't. I heard it said the other day that in somebody's lifetime they have like maybe 2, 3 great loves in a lifetime, if that. I was listening to this podcast with 2 girls who are running the podcast, and one of them said, actually, some people, maybe they only have one. Maybe they have that one great love in their lifetime and that's it. Other people, maybe you have 2, maybe 3 on the outside. And then that's kind of about it. Now for me, in my 40s, I've passed that milestone. I passed that milestone probably quite a long time ago, to be honest. And so what's left? So what's left now? Well, I don't know is the answer. I don't know. And it's going to be a fairly inconclusive video this time, I'm afraid. I don't know what the answer to that question is. But I haven't really dated for over a year now. And I don't feel any huge inclination to do so. I have met people and I've had feelings for them and I've had good times with them and I've enjoyed my time with them. But when you've been round, and it's kind of appropriate actually because I'm walking around this fountain in the middle of Alexanderplatz, and it's sort of analogous to just going around the merry-go-round. Really, when you've been around the merry-go-round, enough times, in the end, you kind of know what the end game's going to be. There are no surprises any longer. You've experienced the joy, you've experienced the ecstasy, you've experienced the sadness, and you've been kind of crushed by experiencing that sadness when things inevitably end, or when things kind of end up going sour. You've been through that so many times that you just can't be bothered, really, to go through it again. You know, you're not willing to open yourself up in the same way that perhaps you once were. You're not willing to make yourself vulnerable in that same way that perhaps you once were, but neither really do you have the inclination to do so, because the joy of it, the upside of it, the reward of it, if you like, the thing that made it so appealing in the first place, has been diminished, or it just doesn't seem to have the value that it used to have. That's not to say that I may be singing a completely different song in a couple of weeks' time. I mean, who knows, right? Who knows where life will lead? I can only speak for myself in the present. I can't predict the future. I can't say how I'm going to be feeling in a month's time or 2 months' time or whatever, right? I mean, who knows? But it does seem to me, and I've talked about this before, that I have turned a corner of sorts with this stuff. And I don't feel that inclination to become enmeshed with somebody else again at the moment. And actually, I'm quite enjoying as well the independence that you get from not being enmeshed with anybody. In fact, I've actually actively resisted getting into entanglements with people recently, because the solitude, not even the solitude, the freedom that you get from not having those entanglements, those romantic entanglements, is in itself intoxicating and exhilarating, and probably more intoxicating and more exhilarating really than being in a relationship. Because being in a relationship, there's a lot of upfront value in being in a relationship, you know, sex, affection, dopamine, the feeling of being loved, the feeling of giving love. All of that stuff's great, and it gives you a huge high at the beginning, but it's all very front loaded. It's all very front loaded. And once the sheen of that wears off a little bit, what do you have left? Well, what you've got left is a lot of responsibility and having to be on someone else's timetable and sort of answer to somebody else to an extent. I mean, not they're telling you what to do necessarily, but you have to compromise a lot, and you have to let them know what you're doing. You have to make time for them. There's this sort of responsibility for somebody else's feelings, and that is onerous, or it can be onerous. It can be taxing. You know, it can be tricky, and so, you know, now I can wander around in Alexanderplatz talking into a camera like a buffoon, and I don't have to tell anybody what time I'm going to get home, and I don't have to message anybody or text anybody to say what I'm doing or any of that stuff. I can just do what the hell I like. Do I have the inclination to give that up in order to be in a relationship with somebody? At the moment, no. At the moment, no. Will that change? It might do. But I just kind of feel like once you know that Father Christmas isn't real, is Christmas ever quite the same again? You know, once you know the secret of the Wizard of Oz, is the Wizard of Oz ever the same? I mean, once the illusion has been stripped from you, and I mean, look, that sounds overly cynical. I'm not saying love is entirely an illusion. It's a wonderful thing, but once you've seen the other side of it too many times, and you've realized that actually the problems it can bring with it, the challenges it brings with it, you know, you just, not as inclined, I think, to dive into it, and you don't have that same pleasure even when you do. So, bit of an existential one today, thinking aloud really. No conclusions, because how can you have any conclusions about this stuff? We're trying to figure this stuff out, and we try to figure it out for our entire lives until we die, and then that's it, we're dead. So, as I say, I might be singing from a completely different hymn sheet in a couple of weeks' time. We will see. I will keep you updated, but that's how I feel about it at the moment. Maybe you agree, maybe you disagree, maybe you think I've gone nuts. Put your comments in the comments box below and let me know your thoughts on this stuff. Give me a like, thumbs up, thumbs down if you want. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Hit the red subscribe button so that you're kept up to date with later videos. Get on my free email list, and also get on my free email newsletter as well. Sorry, I've said the same thing twice. Get on my free email newsletter. The link is below. And grab my books as well. Collection of 11 books about dating, the dating scene, sex, all that stuff. Renegade Dating Blueprint. The link is below. That's it. I'll see you guys again very soon. Bye-bye.